Amirthanandamayi, known as Hugging Saint. Amma's childhood. Amma was born in a poor fishing village in Kerala, southern India, in 1953. Her father sold fish to make a living. Her mother relates that the child wasn't born crying as babies usually were, but with a beaming smile on her face. She was given the name Sudhamani, Ambrosi Jewel. Even as a child, it was clear that she was unique. At 6 months, she could walk and talk, and by the age of 3, she was constantly singing. By the age of 5, she was composing beautiful, extraordinary, profound hymns to her beloved Krishna. Sudhamani charmed and delighted everyone around her. But as she grew, her divine moods, including frequent meditative states, singing, and ecstatic dancing beside the seashore, began to annoy her family. At the early age of 5, Sudhamani was already subjected to severe scoldings. When Sudhamani was 9, her mother became ill. Although Sudhamani was the brightest girl in her class, she had to leave school and take care of her entire family. It was a grueling task, with 7 brothers and sisters to feed and clothe and animals to tend. She usually became the family servant, working from dawn till midnight. As part of her work, she had to collect food for the family cows. She would roam the local villages, gathering grass and visiting neighborhoods' homes to ask for vegetable peels and leftover rice gruel for the cows. At times like these, she saw many things that troubled her. She saw how some people were starving, while others had more than enough. She saw that many people were sick and suffering from intense pain, unable to afford a single painkiller. And she noticed that many of the elderly were neglected and treated harshly by their own families. Her empathy was such that the pain of others was unbearable to her. Though just a child, she began to contemplate the question of suffering. She asked herself, why do people suffer? What is the underlying cause of suffering? And so powerfully did she feel the presence of God within her that she wanted to reach out and comfort and uplift those who were less fortunate than she. In many ways, it was then that Amma's mission began. She would share her food with the starving, and she would bathe and clothe the elderly who had no one to look after them. She was punished when she gave away the family's food and belongings to the poor. But Sudhamani would not stop. Her acts of kindness, she took refuge in the solitude of the night, spending hours meditating and frequently praying to Lord Krishna. During the day, she carried his photo in her blouse pocket and constantly sang his names. During her early teens, Sudhamani was sent to the houses of relatives where she labored for long hours, taking care of their households as well. Throughout all her duties, she was instantly singing and chanting Krishna's name. And imagine all the work she did was for him. Sweeping the yard, she imagined that he could arrive at any moment. As she prepared food, she imagined that Krishna would appear as a guest at the table. In this way, she never resented her duties, nor the abuse her family gave her, but only prayed to be given more of the Lord's work. By her late teens, Sudhamani was abiding in the experience of inner bliss. By 1975, at the age of 22, she was fully established in the state of supreme love. A significant incident occurred in September 1975 that lifted one veil from her divinity. One day, as Sudhamani was walking home holding a bundle of grass, she overheard the final verses of Srimad Bhagavatam from a neighboring house. The reading had come to an end, and the devotion singing had just started. Sudhamani stopped abruptly, appearing to listen intently to the singing. Suddenly, suddenly she ran forward towards where the devotees had gathered. Overwhelmed by divine bliss, Sudhamani's inner identification with Lord Krishna transformed her futures and moments into those of the Lord. Regarding the one set of Krishna Bhava, the divine mood of Krishna in which Amma experienced that she was one with the Lord. Amma says, in the early days I used to dance in bliss and move about alone, persisting in Krishna Bhava. But no one knew. One day I strongly felt the urge to be absorbed in the Supreme Being without returning. Then I heard a voice from within saying, "Thousands and thousands of people in the world are steeped in misery. I have much for you to do, you who are one with me." Thereafter, Sudamani regularly appeared in Krishna Bhava, during which people flocked to meet her on the beach near her home. But a group of youths from surrounding villages, calling themselves the rationalists, were against her and tried to harm her. Seeing the harassment that his daughter was being subjected to, Amma's father took pity on her and converted the family cowshed to make a proper place for her to meet people. It was the moment of eternal bliss, Ananda, the moment of her realization of the Universal Mother. From the moment onwards, Sudamani became Anandamayi, Amirthanandamayi, one who is filled with eternal bliss. When she was Sudamani, she was full of ecstasy. She was lost in herself. But when she had the realization of the Divine Mother, she became Amrita, the divine nectar, the bestow eternity. She began to flow out to herself for the benefit of mankind in the form of love and compassion. Once upon a time, my soul was dancing in delight along the path of bliss. At those times, the inner force, beginning with attachment, ran away, hiding themselves in my innermost recesses. I forgot myself. That day, through myself merged in a golden dream, the desires that manifested in my mind became clear without any impurity. Remembering what Mother said that day, today I tremble all over. O embodiment of existence and consciousness. O she who owns nature is all truth, I will heed your words. A gracious smile flowed forth and defined. Dove deep and merged within me. The offense of million years gone past arose in my acquisite nerves. O people of the world, fulfill the purpose of human birth. To declare this, the mother who showered my tender mind with many colors spoke to me. From that day onwards, I could not see differently. I remembered that everything is my own Atma. Having emerged in Goddess of all, I went forward, renouncing all the pleasure. After this experience, the universal motherhood that was awakened within her made her spontaneously embarrass everyone who came to her, experiencing each one as her very own child. Hundreds of people were coming each day to spend a few moments in her arms. Amma would listen to their sorrows and console them. She also began teaching them about the true purpose of life. Meanwhile, the village youths intensified their harassment to the point of trying to kill her. So that many parents were devastated by the events rocking their family life. But seeing their daughter's courage and steadfastness, her compassion and equipoise in the face of all adversity, they began to understand that her life had a very special purpose. In 1979, Amma's first monastic disciple came to reside permanently by her side. It was they who named her Amma Amirthanandamayi, Mother of Immortal Bliss. As more and more young men and women felt inspired by Amma's selfless compassion and began coming to her for spiritual guidance, an ashram was founded. Thus, in 1981, the construction of a few humble thatched huts next to Amma's family home marked the beginning of Mother Amindamayi's Math. But Amma's children were not in India alone. In 1987, in response to the invitations, Amma embarked on her first world tour. Today, Amma spends most of her year traveling throughout India and the world, where people flock to see her and are inspired by her example of pure love and compassion. Amma's home at Amrapuri, South India, is now also the home of monks, nuns, householder, devotees, and students. Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasa. They have been inspired by Amma's teaching by her life and have dedicated themselves to serving the world through Amma's vast network of charitable projects. When Amma is at the ashram, thousands visit her every day from every corner of the world. The end.